Here is what's coming up in today's Frontline compilation. From the 4th Brigade's operators, FPV runs hammer a position until two figures step into the open, hands raised toward the camera. What pushed them out of cover and what comes next is on the feed. Along the Dnipropetrovsk border, the Russian Volunteer Corps clears trenches with rifles, drones, and a lone vehicle in tow. Prisoners appear in frame, but the full sequence unfolds deeper in the line. In Kherson, drone footage shows a rooftop civilian struck by a dropped grenade, raising the possibility this may constitute a war crime, which we'll address in the body. Lyman sector footage shows FPV teams striking logistics crews near tracks and tree lines. Sustained strikes cut trucks, ammo haulers, and repair teams off from forward units. This is real footage, no effects, just raw moments from the battlefield. Subscribe to stay updated on every Frontline report and stick around to see it all unfold. Let's get into it. A compilation shows the Russian Sudoplatov drone unit conducting fiber optic FPV strikes during operations in the Kursk region. The video opens with an FPV strike on an abandoned vehicle parked on the side of the road. The clips present reconnaissance and harassment missions stitched into a single sequence, with repeated runs on targets typical of the unit's recent activity. The release frames the material as another entry from the unit after months of fighting in the area. A reconnaissance drone records a Russian infantry position being struck from the air. Ukrainian sources present the video and state that an aviation unit delivered multiple JGDAM-ER munitions to complete the attack. No further context accompanies the footage, and the time and place are not specified in the release. Footage from an undisclosed Ukrainian unit shows two soldiers traveling by car in the Kursk area. They notice an incoming Russian FPV drone and immediately exit the vehicle. The passenger carries a semi-automatic bullpup-style shotgun, reportedly the type commonly manufactured in Turkey, and fires at the drone. The shot brings the drone down, and it detonates a short distance in front of the car, scattering debris across the roadway. Russian soldiers wear tanned deer or reindeer pelts sent by the Magadan governor as camouflage against Ukrainian drones. Pelts are draped over helmets and uniforms as improvised gear. Several sources label the stunt low IQ, poking fun at the pelt cloak look. A modified DJI Mavic 3 quadcopter flies over to the Russian position and tracks their movement at close range for a while, with the blast coming later. Ukrainian troops employed it to drop a mortar round onto a group of Russian soldiers. The impact produces multiple casualties according to the sources. The narration notes that despite the modest blast appearance on camera, the munition's lethal radius extends beyond the visible frame as fragments spread in all directions. The video identifies at least 2 wounded soldiers, including one who appears to be seriously injured. The focus remains on the effectiveness of adapting a small commercial drone to carry and release a relatively heavy round onto a clustered target. Footage shows a squad patrolling on an undisclosed stretch of river, floating through scenic terrain and listening to distant contact. The boat is ambushed and continuous gunfire is heard. The turret gunner is hit at the start and falls, and few members of the squad also get hit. The cameraman is struck during the burst. The crew reverses for a short distance, and the Hydra team performs an emergency disembark from the boat. A drone footage from the 4th Brigade, 3rd Battalion shows a dugout discovered and targeted. An FPV drone hits the dugout entrance and brief sparks are visible after the impact. A second FPV strike lands above the dugout. Moments later, a hand appears from a hole and waves, signaling surrender. The occupant pulls away the wood and other coverings placed over the dugout to exit. 2 Russian soldiers then come out from the position with their hands raised and surrender to the operators. A compilation from the recon detachment of the Ukrainian National Guard's 12th Azov Brigade features the unit known as the Pirates Group. The location is not disclosed, though the source suggests it was likely somewhere in Toretsk. The footage shows the group engaging and dropping Russian targets, including one case where the kill is confirmed 4 times. During what appears to be a prisoner snatch, a Russian soldier tries to resist from a toilet and dies there. The clip ends with a soldier throwing a hand grenade in a dugout to neutralize the troops. The Ukrainian armed forces unveil the Shabliya remote weapon system. It can be mounted on vehicles or stationary positions and fitted with multiple gun options. The system lets an operator scan a sector without exposing themselves to fire. In the demonstration, the Shabliya is shown with a 7.62 machine gun, though larger weapons can also be used. Later, the clip also shows the weapon being tried on open ground to test it. Warning: this video may show evidence of a new war crime by the Russians. Footage from Kherson released by Russian sources shows a drone-dropped grenade hitting a man who appears to be working on his roof. Near the end, a second man, also in apparent civilian clothing, tries to reach the wounded man on the roof. Russian sources claim the men were looters and that the drone operators were stopping a crime. The available cut does not establish the full context, and it is not possible to determine what actually happened from this video alone. Footage shows a Ukrainian artillery crew loading a 152mm MSTAB near Udakna in eastern Donetsk. The edit shows the team loading the artillery and then a cut to an impact and explosion. The camera holds on the drill and the strike footage without extra context. The sequence repeats this simple pattern several times, showing the work at the gun and the results on the objective. Footage shows a Russian T-72 trying to flee with heavy smoke trailing from the rear. After a short run, it takes a direct hit which caused a massive impact. The driver jumps from the burning vehicle and runs to the side of the road. The tank continues to roll and crashes into a telephone pole. The camera stays on the wreck as smoke and fire rise from the hull. Later, additional soldiers appear and run away from the area. The clip ends on the burning tank as they scatter. This footage shows the Russian Volunteer Corps operating in the Dnipropetrovsk border area. The RVC are Russian nationals who oppose the Russian state and take military action against it. The video follows trench and dugout clearings, with prisoners taken as the team moves through positions. No further context is provided beyond the general area. Fiber optic drone footage from Russian sources shows harassment operations that nearly strike a civilian vehicle. As the drone approaches, the operator realizes the occupants are civilians and pulls off the target just in time, then searches for a different, legitimate military target. The exact location is not stated, but the Suda-Platov unit has been most active in the Kursk region over the past 6 months, suggesting the civilians are likely Russian nationals. Footage shows multiple strikes against Russian soldiers and equipment, and in each case the target is attempting to disguise itself with a thermal cloaking garment. In some instances, the thermal blanket reduces the signature, but the way it is used shows too much confidence in the limited capability of the asset. The strikes still reach the targets. The sequence is presented as several examples across different shots rather than a single event. Footage released by the Ukrainian 63rd Mechanized Brigade compiles FPV drone strikes against Russian logistics teams in the Lyman region. The edit shows repeated runs on groups and vehicles supporting resupply, with hits landing along movement corridors and staging spots. The presentation focuses on how sustained FPV pressure disrupts access to supplies and movement at the edge of the front. The clip stays with strikes and brief aftermaths rather than extended context. Cell phone video from Russian sources shows two fighters attacking a Ukrainian position with a modified TM-62 anti-tank mine. One lays suppressive fire while the other sprints over open ground toward what appears to be the defender's line. He primes a time fuse on the mine and throws it toward an open doorway, then runs back from the blast area. The footage reflects similar throw-and-run attempts seen during the war.
Whoa!
Video shows a Russian fiber optic drone missing its intended target and getting stuck in front of a foxhole. The infantryman inside breaks the standing rule against touching unexploded ordnance and reaches for the device. The sequence holds on the position as he handles it, and the result is exactly as warned in basic instruction. The UXO explodes. The clip does not provide further context or follow-on footage beyond the immediate blast. Russian troops film with a commercial drone while recording a quick propaganda segment and reconnaissance. Ukrainian forces hijack the drone mid-use. The implication in the source is that the controlling station would need to be abandoned and the drone written off, since a compromised feed could reveal the operator's location.
Теряем коптер. Все.
Предлагаю начинать свечивать.
Да.
В режиме максимальной скорости. Потому что
Стреляют.
если хорошо увели, есть шанс, что сейчас пытаются определить место. Авиация. Первое.
А где? Где видно будет? Откуда лучше снимать?
Сейчас наш дрон поднимем. Второй удар. Сколько времени?
Ну я первый хотя бы сниму.
Первый в поле будет. Первый будет в поле, второй будет туда. Как раз куда утащили, в ту сторону.
Что, уходим?
Сюда, двигаемся.
Уходим.
Drone operators from Ukraine's 110th Brigade track a Russian team moving a wounded soldier into a culvert under a road. One soldier is caught outside the group and struck by an FPV drone, staggers, sinks to his knees, and after a while gets hit again on his back. A second FPV drone enters from the opposite side of the underpass and inflicts additional damage inside. The sequence shows the team sheltering in the culvert and the hits from both approaches. The clip opens with Russian forces scouting the enemy using thermal view drones. After confirming two targets, they lock on and strike them. Combat footage released by Russian forces shows a raid against a Ukrainian positions. The location is not identified, and no further context accompanies the cut. Source commentary links the participants to a popular Russian special operations unit. The sequence shows movement onto a defended area and close contact, with brief drone and on-foot angles. A Ukrainian drone hunts along a Russian trench line when a targeted soldier signals a surrender. A second drone is fitted with written instructions for the surrender process and is sent to the position. The Russian soldier receives the note instead of a grenade and complies. He follows the drone out of the fighting position, walking past several dead bodies as he moves. The footage focuses on the handoff and the controlled exit from the trench. This short clip comes from the Raven Group, a volunteer unit that provides artillery fire support for the Ukrainian Intelligence Directorate's Timur Special Operations Unit. The footage shows the team firing with a 155mm howitzer in the Kharkiv area. It presents Raven's role in support without extended narrative, limiting the view to the crew at work and the immediate relocation. Footage purportedly shows Russian troops using a gas pipeline near Sudza, Kursk, to infiltrate behind Ukrainian positions. This took place amid counterattacks following Ukraine's incursion into the region and as part of a recent offensive.
Воду несу, ебать. Чё-то пробка не пропускает или что случилось? Хна, что скажешь, братан, ебать?
Russian troops walked roughly 15 kilometers to approach from the rear. It adds that Ukraine aims to retain territory in Kursk as a bargaining chip.
Ебан.
Released by a mortar unit operating alongside the 2nd Mechanized Battalion of the 3rd Assault Brigade, the clip opens with Ukrainian soldiers sorting and checking their stock and supplies, making sure everything is properly stored. It then shows soldiers talking with each other, and after that the mashup of combat footage starts. The edit strings together several operations from Ukraine's Kharkiv region, showing the team in action and impacts downrange. The unit affiliations are noted in the release, but specific times and places for the individual cuts are not provided. Footage from Ukrainian drones shows an up-armored, caged Ural truck used to carry Russian troops instead of a purpose-built APC. The truck is moving south of Robotyne, then takes a massive strike that shakes the drone's camera. Once immobilized, another drone hits it again. Another angle shows the truck burning with fragments scattered around with casualties visible around the vehicle. The cut then shifts to additional bomb drops on Russian infantry. It is unclear whether the troops shown are connected to the Ural bombing, but wrecked vehicles are present. After a while, other troops are shown hiding ineffectively in foxholes as drones drop munitions from above. That's today's raw footage. No filters, no fluff. Thanks for watching and staying informed. Subscribe and tell us which clip you want a deeper breakdown on.